Hello, welcome to Celtic. It's Annie.
Hi, and it's Kerrie, Harmony for Tranquility. Hello, my lovely friend Annie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm hot.
Yes, it has been a very muggy day today here in Queensland. Melting.
Yes, you get hot sitting still.
Yeah.
So while I remember, if you're online with us, can you please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channels? That would be awesome.
That would be great.
Kerrie, do you want to do an introduction to what we're going to be doing tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight, what we're going to go through is what I call this breath. So it's all about the importance of how we breathe and how important that is to our health and well-being. But it also links into how we meditate, how we raise our energy. So we're going to go into some different breathing techniques and just to become aware of the breathing. We're not actually going to do a full meditation on that breathing technique tonight. There is a meditation for anyone that's either new to meditation or who wants to just get used to working with the breath work as part of the meditation, and that's available on my YouTube channel. So you can have a look at that there. But that's what we're going to go through tonight. So, no, Annie's commenting back here to people online. Hi, Gail. How are you? So we've got Colin Gale online. So, Annie, how was your day today? Just while we're waiting for a couple of people to jump on.
My day was busy. I did oh my goodness. I did a tarot and tea leaf party, and I had a couple that I read for. And when I do I get them to pick cards. And when I do that, there's over 300 cards on the table because there's 5 decks. So I had the young man first, and he picked the cards. And what it is, it's like past where you're at, what your options are, and then what possible outcomes are going to be. So he picked the cards. And then straight after him, I had his girlfriend, and she picked the exact same cards out of it's about 320 odd cards. And she
I
picked,
don't want to even think about the odds for that. That's
no
incredible.
idea. It's like
Like,
lotto.
I know. They should go buy a lotto ticket after that.
They should.
That's
Like,
crazy odds.
I turned them over and I looked at them and I went, your boyfriend picked the same cards. I think this is trying to tell you something. Like you're both saying the exact same stuff. It was just awesome, you know. And like sometimes I look at my tarot cards and I go, yeah, okay, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you. It's
Yeah.
okay. We're listening.
That's incredible.
Well, I've got
Thanks,
people on here.
thanks for sharing, Cole.
I can do readings on this platform. So if anybody's interested in having a reading, just flick me through a message and I can do readings. I can invite you to come in onto this platform and do tarot readings for you if you want. But I think next week we're going to open to questions, and Kerrie and I will be available to answer any questions that you have, either by pulling tarot cards or Kerrie, if it's yes and no questions, she'll use her divining rods to give you the yeses and nos, and I'll pull cards for you and see what Spirit's got to say to you.
And just to, we'll explain a little bit about how divining rods actually work as well, because that's something a bit different for people. Like they think of it as water divination, right? Like, you might think of it as finding water, but it's got some incredible other uses as well. If you link into the energy, so we can talk through how we do that as well. And
I can't talk about how I do my tarot cards because I've got no idea. It's magic. Magic.
Yeah. Divining rods are a bit of an extension on working with psychometry, which is where you hold an object and receive information and messages about the object or about the owner of the object. So I find that the divining rods are just a bit of an extension of that. Yeah. Okay, so Annie, did you want to just I was just looking in chat, and previously a couple of people had asked what our backgrounds were, how we came to this sort of work. Did you want to talk a little bit about your background?
Okay. I've been faffing around with tarot cards since I was 9. I was having a chat with my uncle. I was 9 years old, and he was on the end of my bed, and it was the night he passed away. So he came to visit the night that he passed away, and I knew he was gone before anybody actually told me. But I've been messing around with my tarot cards for years and years, and didn't have the courage or the confidence to step into it full time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and worked in community. So I did 45 years in community services, where I worked with single parents, I worked in domestic violence, I did volunteer work in the prisons, I worked in children's services, I worked in residential care, and then from there stepped into community education. And in all honesty, I don't think it matters if you're here to serve. It doesn't matter how you do it.
Mm,
So
that's
I
right.
used to use all the same skills that I use now with tarot in community, working with people. And I actually call myself a psychic counselor because a lot of the stuff that we do is about giving people advice and
Mm-hmm.
about validating and confirming stuff that they already know that they maybe not have the confidence to believe in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I did as a community worker. I just got people to actually believe in themselves. And
Yeah.
I loved it. Absolutely loved
Yeah.
it. But in any big giant organization, there's all that politics and all the bullshit that goes with that. So
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago, I stepped out, and now I do my tarot and my tea leaf and all my witchy woo stuff full time. And I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I've never been happier. And I'm really, really lucky because I've got like 200% support from my husband. He thinks I'm crackers, but you get that. And but he supports me all the way in
Yeah.
every single thing that I do. So what about you, Kerrie?
Um, yeah, well, I can't remember a time in my life where I didn't just have a knowing. Like I just knew things, and it was just, well, how do you know that? I don't know how I know. I just know, and it just is. And because I was really quite young when I had that, I think I was really lucky because I grew up with a family, or particularly my mum and dad. I wouldn't say all of my family, but my mum and dad sort of really understood it. My mum could see auras. Dad got a lot of information through dreams. So I think I had that in the DNA, sort of come down from both sides of the family. So they didn't sort of say, oh no, that's not right, or that didn't actually happen. But I think possibly the major incident in my life was probably about 7, and we had come back from a family picnic, and my dad's mum, who we called Nonna, was not too well at the time. She was in Greenwich Hospital. And we'd come home, and it was just on dusk when we arrived home. And I'd run back out to the car to bring things back in from the car, and I turned around and I saw her standing there. Now, she spoke Italian, very, very little English, but it was almost I can only describe it as a telepathic communication at that point, that she said, I'm fine, I'm at peace, your gifts are my gifts, just use them well. And she was gone. And I went, okay. So I ran inside, dad, 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 dad. I just saw Nonna, and she said, and my sister, my beautiful sister Kathy, who's actually no longer with us, grabbed me and said, don't say that, she's unwell, she's in hospital. And I said, well, I'm just saying what I saw. And as I was saying that, the phone rang, and it was the hospital to say that she had passed away shortly before that. And look, I know that she has forgiven me now, so I am going to tell you this little bit. I was young at the time, and I certainly wasn't happy that she had passed, but I was happy that I was validated, even as a young little person. And I turned to my sister and said, "Sucked in, I told you I saw her." So that's from there, I just sort of, the family or mum and dad took it a little bit more seriously. They started listening to different things. And I'd sort of used it most of my life, but I also learnt when to keep my mouth closed as well, because sometimes you would just get a knowing and you'd blurt things out and possibly you shouldn't have. So the lesson for me was understanding that not everybody could just do that naturally, even though I believe everyone has gifts. It's like some people are good at math, some people are good at art. It's finding what that is and tapping into it. But I just thought everyone could do it. I honestly didn't understand any different. Um, as I grew up, I put a lot of different pieces together and actually taught psychic development in a short course for quite a long period of time. But then as things happen, career sort of got in the way, focus changed, and I had a lot of personal lessons to learn through that journey. And thanks to you prodding me, saying, you do this, so just jump in and do it. Where I was doing it is a lot of spiritual writing. So I get sit down, communicate, and receive a lot of information, and I just write. So it's nice to be able to share with people again some of those experiences. So there you go. There's a little bit of background from me.
I'm still learning. I've got no filter, and I can't not. It just falls out my face. I'll say things to people and they just look at me like, what is that woman on? But I've
Yeah.
got absolutely no filter. Can't help myself. And
Wow.
unlike you, my parents, especially my mum, thought I was completely insane. My auntie got it because she was psychic and she was my great aunt and her
Mm-hmm.
mother was very psychic. So she understood me. But right up until I was in my 60s, my mum just kept saying, it's a phase she's going through. She'll, she'll be fine one day. And now my mum's passed away. And I think, now. So
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. And I can
That's
hear it
right.
in my head saying, it's just a phase you're going through. It'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So So it'll be interesting because as we sort of move through this journey with each other from week to week, and share with everyone, I think we'll take them through those different parts of our journey as well, the different things that we've learned along the way. So
Mm.
looking forward to doing that, like trust.
Oh,
Like
that's
you say, you've got no filter, right? But trust is such a big thing. Trusting your instinct, trusting what you're getting through. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's part of it. I can't just not say it because
Mm.
if you don't say it because it sounds silly or because people are going to, and it's about like I don't have an ego. I lost it somewhere, because I honestly don't care what people think of me, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people can't say that. But personally, what people think of me is none of my business. I don't care,
Mm.
um, and I've learned that the stupidest things that I come up with and say mean so much to other people. And that's where the message lies. And if I
Mm-hmm.
let my ego get in the way and said, things like, well, I've got a wolf and a blankie and a young man, and I don't know why I've got this, and then somebody will start to cry and say, that was my brother. He had a blanket with a wolf on it, and we've
Mm-hmm.
got wolf tattoos in his memory.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I had filtered that and thought, you can't say that, that just sounds ridiculous, that
Yeah.
young woman would have missed that entire message.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's why I feel I don't
Yeah.
have filter. I just
Yep.
have to trust that, and it's not about me. None of it
Mhm.
is. It's always about, because 95% of the time, you too, when we're
Yeah.
talking about stuff, we have no idea what we're talking about. But
No.
it's not our lives, it's
No.
someone else's.
Yeah.
So you just have to trust that it's going to make sense to them. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it doesn't make any sense to us.
Exactly. exactly. So it's very much, like when you do read for people, often saying, "Oh, I don't want information from you,
I
but
don't want that. Yeah,
sometimes I will ask you, does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't need to make sense to me. As
yeah,
long as it makes sense to you, that's fine. If it
yeah,
doesn't, then I'll try and get more information, you know,
yeah.
so it can become clear." So, yeah, very true. Okay, well, we might talk about breath work, and how important breath work actually is. And in starting with that, just wanted to think about what level of importance we give breath work, because breathing is something we do without even thinking about it. It's just a natural body response is to breathe. We know we need to do it, but we don't consciously think about it. And but we, as human beings, to sustain in this physical body, we can go 1 to 2 months without food, and we can go about 3 days, just over 3 days without water, but we can only last 4 to 6 minutes without breathing. So it shows the level of importance in the breath and in what we're doing with breathing. And yet, society, we seem to reverse it. We think a lot about food, right? What we're going to eat next. We'll go, yeah, I've drunk enough water today, maybe, right? Or some people are great at that. Some people are really great at keeping themselves hydrated, which is, what keeps our body in alignment and cleansed of everything. But it's not often that we sit there and think about how are we actually breathing, and what does it mean to us? What does it mean for our bodies in the breathing? And we were born with such a natural unconscious ability to breathe deeply when we needed it. And there is one theory on how we lost that along the way, actually breathing right to the base of your lungs. And the theory, that how we lost that technique, has a lot to do with traumatic events and stress and anxiety in our lives. So I sort of want to challenge everyone on this over the next week, right? When you find yourself you're frustrated, or, something's happening, check yourself. See, are you breathing, or have you just gone and held your breath for that moment? Because you're keeping it all inside, because you talk to, control your emotions, do this, now hold your breath. So I'm going to challenge you on how many times you actually do that during a week, because then we're deoxygenating and we're actually creating more stress on our nervous system by doing that, rather than breathing through it. And it just, when I first started thinking about this, my guides came through and gave me a really great, when they were teaching me about the importance of the breath work for raising your energy and for balancing your energy. Um, they gave me a beautiful analogy, and, it's sort of sad, but when a child is crying and they get to that point where they've been crying for so long, they're almost hysterical. And then they get that, right? So, sorry, I'm over exaggerating it a little bit, so you get the idea. But um, have people noticed that? Like, they've seen that in children where they get to that point and they're doing that little 3 breaths in and 1 long breath out? That's our body's natural response to actually reduce the stress on our nervous system and re regulate our breathing again. So, children do it really naturally. Um, so when we are in that level of anxiety or frustration, one of the best things that we can do is regulate our breathing and take the lesson from that. And you can actually do it without. I know when I was doing public speaking, like you have to get up in front of all these people, and we've been there sort of as teachers at times where it's been quite a large group, or if you've ever performed on stage, and you get that anxiety before you go on, it really does help. in that situation. And obviously, you don't do it the way a child would, but if you still think about taking those 3 little breaths in, holding it, and then breathing it fully out, within 30 to 60 seconds, your whole nervous system just takes out that anxiety and gets you in a better level playing field. So, any comments, Annie?
I'm breathing, Kerrie. I'm sitting here breathing and dropping my shoulders.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
I,
and it's still how we express ourselves too. So even if I think right back to a baby, or if you've listened to a newborn, how they take that huge gasp, and the scream's about to come, all
yeah,
right, with the crying, because they sort of, even as a young baby, instinctively know that to express themselves, they need to oxygenate themselves, and somewhere we lose that along the way.
I
Uh,
say, I say to people, oh, Wendy, I can't type. You've got two Y's in your name. Um, when I'm working with people, I tell them I'm going to tip my screen up. If they've got decisions to make, what I say to them is put one hand here, protecting your heart, one hand on your solar plexus.
Mhm,
This is protecting your heart. Your solar plexus is protecting your inner child.
mhm.
Big deep breath. The first thought that comes into your head, that's the answer.
Yeah.
Because when you breathe through it, that's
Mhm,
where the answers lie.
mhm.
And again, from back to my what I do with my tarot readings,
Yeah,
everybody that comes to see us knows what they need to do, and they know in their heart
yeah.
what they should be doing. And the only thing that stops is fear.
Mhm,
That's the only thing that stops them. So that
mhm.
breathing through it, and when people have anxiety attacks, that's what you tell them to do. You tell them to breathe, you know,
Absolutely.
and that settles people always.
Yeah,
And like you say, people forget that.
we do. We do. And yet we were born with such a natural instinct. But
Mm.
I think somehow life has become so busy and so rushed, and and something you'll hear me probably say this a million times over the next few live streams that we do, is that we're so busy being a human doing all the time that we've forgotten the art of how to be a human being and just be, you know, which is a lot to do with the breath work. So, Gail, yeah, just acknowledging your comment there. Absolutely. When we do a guided meditation, the first thing that we do is we focus on the breathing to center and relax ourselves, oxygenating our bloodstream, our brain, our muscles to relax. You're taking yourself all through that with the breathing technique. And it's also our link to source as well. So it helps us raise our vibration. So the breathing techniques actually become really important in how we do that. So, Annie, you would think that we rehearsed this beforehand, because you're talking about put your hand on your heart, put your hand on your solar plexus. I'd love everyone to do that right now. Like put their hand at the top of their chest, so near where their heart is, and their other hand where their solar plexus is. And I don't want you to change your breathing anyway, but I just want you to take note for a second. When you take in an in breath, which part raises? Do both parts raise? Does your chest raise before your diaphragm? Do you actually have to concentrate to get the air to your diaphragm? Or does your diaphragm move first? Because the deep breathing takes it to the base of your lungs first. And then I'm just, so just be aware of that, and just every day, just those few deep breaths, even if you're just doing it for a couple of minutes a day, will improve your nervous system, your clarity of thinking, your ability to be able to be in the moment and in tune with what's happening around you. And it is the basis of every meditation and it is the basis for raising your energy to connect with your higher self, with your guardian angels, with those higher levels. It all resides in that raising your energy in every cell of your body, which is done through the breath work. So it's just another way of thinking about it.
Now, Kerrie's actually put meditation up online. It's on her page. I think it's on my page as well. So if you want to go and do some practice, that would be a really good place to start. Have you got
Yeah.
anything else, Kerrie, or do you want me to do my thing?
I did put a couple of dot points of the things that I wanted to cover. And I think I've probably covered most of those. So it's just around, looking at that, being aware of where it's moving first, taking the breath to the bottom and allowing yourself to do that, to bring yourself back into a level of balance. On a daily basis, you don't need to meditate to achieve that balance. You can just do a simple breathing technique to get there. So, yeah, Annie, look, while we're all in that good space and we're thinking about our breathing, you do have a beautiful reflection. It's like a mini meditation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a story. But what I would like people to do is, in thinking about what Kerrie has just spoken to you about, I'd like you to just shut your eyes and sit back and listen to this story. It's actually a poem by John Rodell. John Rodell talks to God, and God answers back, which is just awesome. Um, he has a lot of mental health issues, and he talks to God about his issues, and that's how he processes his feelings and his emotions. And it's like external processing. It's how he gets his answers. So this is one of his poems, and I just really love it. And it really resonates with what Kerrie has just been talking about. So if you would just like to shut your eyes and come on this journey with us, I'll read you out this poem. Okay, here we go. My brain and heart divorced a decade ago over who is to blame about the big mess I have become. Eventually, they couldn't be in the same room with each other. Now my head and my heart share custody of me. I stay with my brain during the week, and my heart gets me on the weekends. They never speak to one another. Instead, they give me the same note to pass to each other every week, and their notes they send to one another always say the same thing. This is all your fault. On Sundays, my heart complains about how my head has let me down in the past. And on Wednesdays, my head lists all the time my heart has screwed up all the things for me in the future. They blame each other for the state of my life. There's been a lot of yelling and crying lately. I've been spending a lot of time with my gut, who serves as my unofficial therapist. Most nights I sneak out of the window in my rib cage and slide down my spine and collapse on my gut's plush leather chair that's always open for me. And I just sit and sit and sit until the sun comes up. Last evening, my gut asked me if I was having a hard time being caught between my heart and my head. I nodded. I said I didn't know if I could live with either of them anymore. My heart is always sad about something that happened yesterday, while my head is always worried about something that may happen tomorrow. My gut squeezed my hand. I just can't live with my mistakes of the past and my anxiety about the future, I sighed. My gut smiled and said, in that case, you should go stay with your lungs for a while. I was confused. The look on my face gave it away. If you're exhausted about your heart's obsession with the fixed past and your mind's focus on the uncertain future, your lungs are the perfect place for you. There is no yesterday in your lungs. There is no tomorrow there either. There is only now. There is only inhale. There is only exhale. There is only this moment. There is only breath. And in that breath, you can rest while your heart and your head work their relationship out. This morning, while my brain was busy reading tea leaves and my heart was staring at old photographs, I packed a little bag and walked through the door to my lungs. Before I could even knock, she opened the door with a smile, and as a gust of air embraced me, she said, "What took you so long?" I think that's a really gentle reminder that when the shit hits the fan, go to your lungs. Don't let your head take over. Don't let your heart interfere because they're meddlers, the pair of them. Just get into your breath, breathe through it, and it will soften and gentle, and it will make you understand that there's a way through this without your head and your heart battling with each other. Because that's what we do. Once our emotions get caught up, then your head kicks in, and then you might as well not bother. So settle, go to your lungs, just breathe. The other thing that's really important too is feel where you feel it, because that tells you where your stress levels are. Some people get the tension in their neck, some people get headaches, some people get palpitations, some people get tummy upsets, some people get bowel upsets. When you feel that tension, breathe breathe through it, and let it soften. So my work is done here. Has anybody got any questions or any comments?
Annie, and I don't think that this will show up on my little camera, but I've got the goosebumps, which I call the validation, the validation bumps going across me. My hair is standing on end.
It's a
How
really
true that
powerful
is.
little story.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple, but really
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And it's a really
Absolutely.
good reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like giving birth, Colleen. Giving birth hurts.
Although, how important is the breathing technique
Yeah.
when you're giving birth?
Well, according to my, because I went to all the classes, the prenatal
Yeah.
classes, and it's a physiotherapist or whatever they call themselves. And like she taught me all these breathing techniques and said,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to help. And when she came in, I said to her, you tell lies, it didn't help at all. And she said, oh, she said, it gives you something to do. It just gives you something to focus on. But thanks. Like it gives me something to do. That's great.
uh, yeah, I agree, Cole. Breathing through it. Exactly what you said before, Annie. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we've shared tonight?
Yeah, Gail, deep breathing does help. It makes it a whole lot better. Yeah,
And
it
that's
just
the
settles
challenge,
you.
everyone, for this
Remember to
next
breathe.
couple of weeks. Catch yourself out,
Yeah, and remember to
holding your
breathe.
breath, or shallow breathing, or holding your breath if you're in a situation where you feel rushed or have any anxiety. And if you have the anxiety, 3 little breaths in, hold it, 1 long breath out. You'll be amazed.
Yeah, holding your breath's not. Yeah, it's not. It's a really bad thing, Wendy. I've had kids that have held their breath until they're purple. That they're very good at that. So when you're really stressed and you hold your breath, if you splash water on your face, it kind of snaps you out of it. It's like whoa, and it makes you breathe again. So
Mm-hmm.
cold water, that's a good technique.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're done for the day. Once
I
again,
think so,
thank
yeah.
thank you all for coming. Um, like, share, subscribe, and it'll be up. So it'll be up on our Facebook pages, our um, Insta page, and our what's the other one? YouTube.
So, yeah, Facebook and YouTube pages.
Just
Yeah.
Yeah. Good on you, Wendy. I like purple, but it's not good in your face. I'm
You're
glad
very
you,
welcome.
glad you
You're
remember to
very
read.
welcome. You're very welcome, Wendy. And thank you all for joining us. And yeah, please comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you want to come back and listen to Annie's mini meditation there and reflection, listen to it again. I recommend that because that particular meditation, if you're doing a breathing technique whilst you're working through it, can really sort of settle some of that. Um, as Annie said, worrying about things of the past, which we actually cannot change except just learn from it and accept as part of our journey and our learning experience. And also not putting so much energy into things that haven't even happened yet and may never happen. Yes, please. Thanks, Colleen. Hit the bell, get notifications. Thank you.
You can, if you've got questions or if you want links to any of our stuff, if you contact us on either Kerrie's page or my page, um, I can link you up to John Rodell's website. I really recommend that. He does some really, really good stuff. He talks about talking to God about being broken. And God says, like, you're not broken. You know, you're just, you're not broken at all. You need something. Sometimes things need to get shook about a bit before
Yeah.
they can be put back together again. And it's really, really sensible stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, just get in touch with us. Celtic Tarot is my Facebook page, and Harmony for Tranquility is Kerrie's. So
Yes.
messages or PM us if there's
Hmm.
anything we can do to help you. The other thing too, we've got you all here, is if any of you guys have got stuff that you would like to share, we would really like to invite people, because this is really, for us, this is about creating community. So if
Hmm.
there's stuff that any of you do, or any of you want to talk about, or any of you want to share, we can invite you in to come in on our chats, and you can talk about anything. We don't care what you want to talk about.
No.
Um, any advice you want to give people, any experiences you've had around spirituality, because everybody's journey is really, really different. And one person, we all get to it in different ways and we all use it in different ways. And Gail has just said suffering and recovery is good for the soul. My motto in life is that things happen for you, not to you,
Hmm.
because the lessons that you get when the shit hits the fan is where you learn maybe how resilient you are, or how strong you are, or how
Hmm.
stupid you've been. I'm good at that one. Or,
Hmm.
and sometimes these experiences help you to help others, because
Hmm.
sometimes people need a story more than food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they need the story to know that they're not alone. And
Yeah.
stories have so much power.
Absolutely.
So we're
Absolutely.
so happy to hear your stories and share your
Hmm.
stories.
Absolutely. And so many times where you know that something's not quite right. And so many times the universe will step in and say, "Oh no, you're meant to be walking a different path. If you won't change it, we'll make you change it."
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be to do with that as well. But yeah, you're right, Cole. It does build resilience, but it's also about learning about ourselves and that really we are enough. Um, and part of, I know what Annie and I really want to do is build that community, because everyone does have their own journey, their own gifts, their own experiences. And for us, it's not, oh, one person over another person. We just want to build the community where all of those pieces of the puzzle actually come together and we can help each other
Yeah.
attain a higher level of understanding in this journey that we're all on together. And I
Yeah.
think it's part of that whole soul tribe thing.
Yeah,
where it
absolutely.
fits together.
Okay, people. Yes, the medical medium's incredible.
Yes.
Yes,
Yep. So we'd love to have you on, Gail.
you
Come
can
and
have
have
it.
a chat to us about what you do in that space. That would be great.
So
So,
we,
yeah, send us a PM private message, and we'll organise one of our weeks to have you on as a guest if you're happy to do that.
yep. So we'll see you in a fortnight. Thank you all so much for joining. Yeah, Gail's saying it's so exciting. There's so much stuff. Everybody's waking up and sparking up at the moment. And you're
Mm-hmm.
right, Gail. There is so much information out there, and people are all feeling the same stuff. We're going to talk about synchronicity, and that's what that's about. That's
Yes,
exactly. And you don't need to be shy, my darling. This is a really safe space. We do this
absolutely.
every, see, before we come on here, we're terrified.
Yeah.
We sit there going, are we going to go live now? Let's do it. And
Yep.
we look at the countdown and it's going 10, 9, 8. And I'm sitting here going, 7, 6, 5. Oh my goodness.
Now,
Four,
did you notice what she did then? She just held her breath. Annie.
I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing in and breathing out. It's like, whoa, whoa, okay, I'm ready, I've breathed.
I know, we go, I'm about to hit the button. Are you ready?
Whoa, yes, I'm ready. My shoulders are dropped.
Breathe through it, breathe through it. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Yep,
Thank
like,
you.
share, subscribe, comment. And if you're watching this not on the live and you're watching it a bit later and you add a comment, Annie and I are really good at reading all of those and commenting back to you as well. So you can comment back to us at any time. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Or if you've had a check of yourself in the next couple of weeks, let us know how you're going with catching yourself out from holding your breath.
Ah, Gina, your cousin is on.
Ah, hello, Gina. Mwah, my beautiful cousin.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to disappear now, but thank you so much, and we'll see you in a fortnight.
Good night.
Good night. Bye bye.